So, one of the big things that I used to do, being a broke college student, is what I called urban snowboarding, which is where you talk, some of these hills that you might have gone sledding down as a kid, some of these hills that, are free public parks, stuff like that. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, wow, how can that ever compare to a resort? It doesn't. It's not the same at all, but it is what you make it. And I think that's nice, being able to kind of be inventive and really have local places that you can just go to and go have fun. And we're going to be discussing two kinds. One is the urban snowboarding, which I say snowboarding because I was a snowboarder. However, you can obviously do skis. It's not really, that big of a difference. But for this whole video, I'm going to be referring to snowboarding. Like I said, not to hate on people with skis, but we all know snowboards are better. So, and the second one, getting into that, is a little backwoods snowboarding, which is something I've done a few times. It's, we'll get into the pros and cons of that, and really, what you can do. And like I said, you got to be inventive. You got to really think about it. You got to figure out, come up with a plan, and be like, hey, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to try something new. Hey, this is cheap, free, and it's right in your backyard. So we're going to go to urban snowboarding. First off, what is it? Like I said before, this is what you're talking about with the little kid hills that you used to go sledding down, and public parks that you can sled down. And you're probably sitting there thinking, you're like, hey, how can this be a fun place for someone who actually knows how to snowboard? How can you go have fun with it? Well, let me tell you, you can build a whole bunch of jumps on it. Nice, free, easy, takes a little bit of time. You can build some jumps on it. What we used to do is there was actually a little park right by the lake. And we used to get out of work probably around like 9:30, 10 o'clock ish when the park's supposed to be closed. But right next door, there was actually a dock that used to sit by the lake. So what we used to do, not really recommending it, but it was fun, is take some of the dock sections. We used to make ramps and rails out of that, and pretty much you make your own terrain park. It really gives you that you don't pick up enough speed where you're going to hit it and really mess yourself up if you hit it wrong, but kind of gets you that good feel over, hey, here's how to grind a rail, here's how you can pop yourself up onto a picnic table. There's a few of those. Like I said, it was just using your imagination. What can you do? How can you make this, it seems bleak when you first show up to this hill, but how can you make it into something where you're going to sit there and you're going to enjoy it time and time again? We actually used to have a whole bunch of onlookers that would just be people, running by, walking around, and it'd be like 10 o'clock at night, and they'd be stopping watching us snowboard. And just for fun, it was just kind of one upping each other. Oh, I can do this, I can do that, and just kind of going through.
I've seen videos of people like going off of buildings, jumping down, going on things. Is that the same as what you're talking about?
I mean, realistically, you could. Um, One of the big things out there that you can use for urban snowboarding, and you'll see them a lot, they're called banshee bungees, which is what you can do. It just pretty much is giant bungee cord. You can give them different lengths, different strengths, and it'll just kind of pull you forward, and they'll give you just enough speed where you can kind of like, pop up onto a jump or something, and it'll take you from completely flat to having enough speed to do that. So those were always fun to kind of play around with too, which is probably more like what you're looking at. you can make it into whatever you want. And a lot of it is just opportunity. What is there available? What can you do? Backwoods. What do I mean by backwoods snowboarding? Well, where I actually go hunting at is on a hill. As you know, we've talked about during hunting season, you know, you and me, we talked about going up. I was like, well, this little walk that we did was a nice, easy walk, but you go up from the bottom and it's a hike. You might be only walking quarter, half mile, but it's a hike.
Mhm.
It's a very steep hike. And one of the things me and my cousin used to do actually was we would go up there and he would ski and I would snowboard down. That was some intense snowboarding. I will say that. It is nothing like the urban snowboarding at all. You have to be well aware of your surroundings and you have to be well aware of any potential hazards for that. Because you are in the woods, there is minimal cut trails and there is fallen trees all over the place. I can't tell you how many times be going along snowboarding and the front like lip will just dip down underneath the tree and you do a little cartwheel over the top of yourself. Yeah, I mean it's fun. It's free. You have a good time, but it is one of those things where you have to be aware of everything.
We don't have what other people have. Like, we don't have the like extravagant like big mountains. And is that like the same kind of thing? Like the people that like say hike up a mountain, or the people that go up in a helicopter, get dropped down and then go down? Is that like the same kind of thing, just more extreme? Or
I have never done the helicopter thing. I mean, realistically, it's called the same thing. The whole process in which you are going down the hill is very similar. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to be aware of the hazards. You have to be like 5 steps ahead. You got to see where you're going. All right, what's going on there? What's happening. And a lot of it is just that planning ahead. The hike sucked. You had to hike up to the top. Like, yeah, you're hiking all the way up to the top and you go down.
so you got to be aware of like the unseen things and everything. Like we talked before, you don't have to pay for a lift pass. At this point, you're wherever you're at, you can bring your own food, so it's cheap.
Yep.
Um, it's not crowded because it's only who you bring with you, so it could be as many or as few as you want. Depending on where you pick and like the spots you pick, there's always going to be good snow for you.
Yeah, obviously be aware. Like I keep saying be aware, but it's so important. But where the steep drop offs are, you gotta kind of know something about the area. I wouldn't ever recommend just going out at it blind. You'd have to look at a topographic map or something, have some sort of idea of either A, here's where I'm going, or B, here's where the terrain kind of we got to watch this area, or we got to be on this side of this. You got to have some sort of clue when you're doing the backwoods. You can't just go at it blind.